There we go. Welcome to the Market Mic featuring local artisans. Today we have Kristen Rosa from Threaded Roots. Hi, Kristen.
Hi.
Can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I am a local seamstress in the Brunswick area. I used to live in Medina, so very close. I've been in Brunswick owning a home for about 2 years now. I moved back from Florida in 2020, and I have been doing alterations out of my house for about 6 months now, right after I had my daughter, and I also have a 2-year-old son.
Wow, that's a lot. How do you find time to even sew?
Well, I have my mother-in-law who helps me at least 2 days a week. My parents also come to help me certain days out of the week, and my husband helps me every night.
It's always really nice to have help with kids.
Yeah, you need a village.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah. How did you get started sewing? Is this something that your mother taught you or self-taught?
Yeah, so my mother actually taught me. I don't even know how young I was. I remember going out and buying a sewing machine with my dad. I think it was for a Christmas present for her. So I watched her do it and I picked up on it. And I've been sewing ever since then. She got me sewing pillows, curtains. I actually took sewing classes in high school, and when I went to college, I went for fashion design, so I've been doing it since I was very little.
Fashion design, that's interesting.
Yes.
I too sew, and I have learned from watching my mom.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how much you can learn just from watching somebody do something.
Did she sew clothes?
She sewed everything. She sewed mainly curtains.
Yes.
I think that's a
where
nice.
Everybody starts.
Yeah, it's a nice, simple thing, and pillowcases and stuff like that. But yeah, everybody was always calling my mom and saying, "Hey, can you do this button? Can you hem these pants? Can you fix this pocket?" All that good stuff.
I always say people nowadays basically can't even sew a button on. So if you can sew a button on, you're doing good.
Yeah, for sure. So what is your favorite thing that you've ever sewn?
It would actually be my wedding dress, which I have here today. I got married back in 2018 on Clearwater Beach in Florida, and that was my first wedding dress I ever made, was my own. I was working at David's Bridal at the time, and so everybody at the store was super excited to see my dress coming along. I would get inspiration from the dresses that would come in, and I created this from scratch.
You literally created that from scratch. It's beautiful.
Yeah. I do flat patterning. That's what I learned in school. So I took a pattern from my measurements. I made the pattern from my own measurements. And then I cut all the fabric out. I got the fabric from Joanne Fabric, actually. So rest in peace, right?
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody's going to miss Joanne Fabrics. So pattern making is a skill in itself, not just with sewing. So can you tell us a little bit how that differs from making a pattern to sewing?
Yeah, so it's a big difference. It's crazy to take some, I always think this too, to just take some measurements, specific measurements, your bust, your waist, your hips, the length of your torso, combining all of these measurements to make a pattern that's a bodice, a skirt, trousers, and then from that, those basic blocks, you can make pretty much anything. And from that, you go on to sew jumpsuits, you can sew work pants, you can sew sweatshirts. So there's a big difference coming from just, sitting down at your sewing machine, sewing 2 pieces of fabric together, whereas from just a paper pattern, you just have a block, it's just paper, and then you create anything from it, basically.
It's kind of cool to see it come to life, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I remember that in sewing class, sewing it all, and then you stuff it. We made the pillows, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I made this. So it's actually very rewarding.
It is. There's definitely gratification at the end of your project.
So me being a sewer or knowing how to sew, a lot of people will be like, oh, can you sew, or can you sew this? I'm like, well, you can sew, why don't you try?
Yeah.
And everybody wants to do the needle and thread. I'm like, actually, that's harder than jumping on a machine
so much harder. You're right.
and just zipping it and being done. I think the people that get intimidated by is threading the machine. And I can see where that could get a little intimidating.
Yeah, they're actually, once you get it down, they're all pretty much the same.
Yeah.
And you kind of get the gist of it. And there's a way where you can tie the thread at the top and you just pull it through so you don't have to rethread it every time.
Now that's a little trick. That's a little trick.
Tricks.
So when you're making something personal like a wedding dress or a prom dress, how do you personally help your client personally shine through that piece that you're making for them?
Yeah, I actually just went through this process with my sister-in-law. She as we're speaking, she's on her way to Italy to elope, and she's going to wear a dress that I made for her. There's a lot of pressure in that for sure, because you want them to be happy with it, especially a wedding dress. They're going to wear it, in their pictures they're going to look at every day for the rest of their life, pretty much. So you just have to kind of start with a step-by-step process. So she went in and we went shopping together for wedding dresses. We went and looked. She was able to get an idea of what fit her well, where she liked the silhouette to hit on her body. And from that, we looked at fabric. I ordered some from Mood, came up with like a whole piece of tulle. I cut out little pieces of lace, put it all over. She was able to, I like this, and I made her what we call a block or a sloper to make sure it fit her properly. From that, I went and did the actual design. So there's a lot of processes that go through to guarantee that they're going to like the outcome.
Yeah, so basically what you do, you go reference shopping and you say, I like this style, try it on, just like normal clothes shopping.
Exactly.
And then you could probably take fabric swatches, so then it all comes together.
Yeah.
And just kind of build from there.
Yeah, which is honestly, if you look at it, and I try to tell people this too, you're going to go spend a bunch of money on a wedding dress, right? At the end of the day, getting one customized is going to be about the same as you going out and purchasing one, because a lot of times you can get fabric a little bit cheaper than what it normally would if you're purchasing it from a wedding gown and you're just paying for that labor. So let's say you love your wedding dress, but you're like, oh, I wish it had a little something different. Well, you might be able to have it made personally for you, customized specifically for your body, about the same price. So I always tell people, look into that.
Yeah, for sure. Because think about it, when you're buying the wedding dress and then you have to have it altered. So then you're adding that extra fee on top of that. And then when you go, then you're like, oh, can you add a little of this, a little sparkle of this? So then it actually probably cost even more than to have a custom.
Yeah, the average alterations range from about, depending on the dress, but from about $350 all the way up to $1,000, depending on how much you want to customize the dress. The super high end is going to be maybe adding on a sleeve, maybe you're adding a panel for modesty, you're doing an extravagant bustle to hold the train up for the reception, but alterations can get pretty pricey. So if you're just getting it customized to you, you're skipping that step of alterations.
So all those amazing skills that you have created kind of transferred over to creating little clothes. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I made a dress for myself actually out of shirts that I bought from the Goodwill. A lot of them were Brunswick or Ohio, and I made myself like a little t-shirt dress. You have all of these t-shirts that you like and you create one piece. After I had my daughter, I got the inspiration to take her 0 to 3 month clothes and make her a little dress out of the 0 to 3 month clothes, and I was going to do it step by step. So she's growing very slowly, but every time she sizes up a size, I'm going to make her another one so she can keep wearing it. And that way we're not putting all of those onesies that she doesn't wear anymore into Goodwill. And anything that I have scraps left over, I try to repurpose them into something else. So not only does it look super cute and it's kind of like a memory thing, it's also, bringing sustainability into it as well.
I love that idea. And the dress that you made is beautiful.
Yeah.
You wore it into this
into
the store. And it was just, I'm like, where did you get that dress? And you're like, I made it. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful.
Yeah.
And
so those, I can make, for anybody. And it's something different than a t-shirt quilt. A lot of people make t-shirt quilts. That's something that you pull out in the winter to cover up with, or you just kind of store it away because you're excited to have all your shirts saved, but you don't really look at it much. The dress is you're gonna wear it. It's comfortable, it's soft, and it's super cute, like you said. It's nice and flowy.
It is. It's very flowy, and it looks comfortable. And one thing too is you can save that and pass it down to your other children or cousins, nieces, and nephews, and it always is having that, growing that story with that piece of article of clothing.
Yeah, it's like it's an art piece rather than just an article of clothing.
Right. So you recently have gotten into making these cute little characters, stuffed animals. This guy is just a little cutie.
So these are kind of like my Halloween little guys that I have here. This one's a little ghost. We have a little bat. And these are all made out of repurposed muslin blankets. A lot of times those just literally go straight to either the dump, people just throw them away, or they go to Goodwill to never be bought. A lot of people don't like to buy blankets from other people. So if you repurpose into something that your little kiddo can hold on to, I think it's great.
I love that.
Yeah,
Having it turned into a little stuffed animal.
Maybe they, your kiddo had a favorite blanket when they were younger. I could create a memory bear out of it instead of just, tossing it away. Or I just try to make sure that every piece I use every part of it, so nothing is kind of getting tossed.
Yeah, I totally love that idea. That's such a great idea, Kristen. So what is one sewing trick that you have learned that people would be surprised?
So there's one that I taught my mom, who also sews, like we talked about, and it's really, really simple. It's just knotting your thread for like when you're hand sewing. You take your needle, wish I would have brought one today now, and you just wrap the thread around it, and you just pull that down to the very end, and you have a nice secure knot. Rather than trying to go down to the end and knotting it. Did you know? You said you sewed. Did you know that?
I did not know that, but I'm definitely going to try it.
Yeah, it's a nice secure knot. It's not going to come out, and like I said, it's so easy to do. It cuts the time in half, I would say. Kind of struggling tie a knot. Especially when you're older and you can't see very well, because the older my mom gets, the worse her eyes get. So she can see wrapping that around the thread around the needle and pulling it, but when she's just trying to tie two threads together, she has a little trouble.
Yeah, I always do the pull two and do one of those things.
Yep, exactly.
So do the double knot. It's just easier for me.
I'll have to come show you.
Yeah, for sure. I would love that.
Yeah.
So how do you stay inspired?
That's a good question. That's a really good question. Honestly, it's just what I find that I'm passionate about at the moment. So there's one thing that I want to kind of get into, as well as taking artists' drawings or their digital artwork and creating fabric out of that and making pieces. Like all the sustainability stuff is something that I'm super passionate about. That now in the age of fast fashion, a lot of things are just getting tossed into the landfill. So when I was looking at that, I was trying to find something that was sustainable that I could make to help that problem. So it's really just what I find in the moment that I'm passionate about, and I try to just relate it back to my own work.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And being that, it's sustaining and making meaningful pieces out of things that you would normally have.
I really do want to try to find meaning in everything that I do, especially, like I said, in the day of fast fashion. They're pieces that you're gonna wear once. You buy them from Shein or Temu, you're gonna wear it once because you bought it for a party, and then you're probably gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
I want to make pieces that you don't want to do that with, that you just want to keep wearing over and over and over again.
Yeah. Have you ever sewn yourself?
I have not. I've gotten myself a little bit like
You
hand
have
sewing.
not?
I've not like sewn over my finger. When I worked at David's Bridal, I had one of my employees do that. She called me panicking, obviously, and was like, "What do I do?" She didn't go through her bone. It was just like the side of her finger, but she did that. I heard that you're not a real seamstress until you do that. I don't want to be a real seamstress. If that's what you have to do in order to become a real seamstress, I'm okay.
It's scary.
Have you done that?
Yes, when you go, and it did go through the side of my nail, like the side of my thing. And when it happens, you're like, you're afraid to look, but you have to look, and you're like, oh,
usually
goodness.
As long as you don't go through the bone, you're fine. As scary as that sounds. Just try not to get your bone.
Right. So if your sewing machine had a personality, what do you think personality your sewing machine would have?
I feel like my sewing machine would be high maintenance. Well, okay, I have two.
Okay.
It's kind of a long story. I have one that I got from a previous job. It can do everything. It can do embroidery. It's a very expensive machine that I would have personally never bought for myself had I not gotten it for my job. So I think she would be very high maintenance, right? That one. But I have another one who would be super loyal, just trustworthy, understandable. It's a heavy duty singer machine, and it's been it's been with me through everything. So I made my wedding dress on it. I made my sister's wedding dress on it. I made my sister-in-law's wedding dress on it. So it's just like a nice, trusty friend.
So what kind of sewing machine is it? Because I noticed, like, when you go to the thrift stores, you do see lots of sewing machines, and it's kind of, when I see a sewing machine, they all have a story, and then there's singers and all kinds of brothers and all that.
My trusty is a Singer heavy duty. Honestly, any of the heavy duty machines, I think you're in good shape with.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
for heavy duties,
Yeah.
because you do see them a lot at the thrift store, even on Facebook Marketplace. A lot of people don't know what they're getting rid of when they're getting rid of sewing machines. So you can get some like really nice machines for cheap on, especially Marketplace.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, the machines that get passed down, I think, like from, you know, mothers to
Yeah.
daughters, like my mom has a really nice sewing machine, and it's like the old, like you got to crank it and
Yeah,
everything, and she
yeah.
still uses it to this
Does
day.
she really?
Yeah, it
That's a
sews
lot
leather
more
and
work.
everything.
Wow. Yeah, good
It,
for her.
it's very, very sturdy.
Yes, yeah, that's honestly, so the one that I got through work is all computerized, and I've had a lot more problems with that than my old trusty Singer heavy duty.
That's so fun. Well, Kristen, it's been a pleasure speaking with you.
You as well.
See you next time on the Market Mic.